Salvaj is about a police diver named Ishak who has to deal with the emotional perils of the reconciliation between him and his estranged brother Ismail. All of this while having to undertake the most difficult dive of his career.
My name is Mahen Bala. I'm a director and a director of photography. I usually work on documentaries and sometimes on commercial projects as well.
My name is Adrin Abdul Razak, but among divers, they call me Macha. I'm a full-time PADI scuba diving instructor with Sea Monkey Dive Centre. Besides teaching people how to dive and bringing people on trips, I also do underwater photography and videography.
I think every project starts with a phone call. The director of the project, We Jun, whom I've been working with on many projects, he just called me and he said that, hey, you know what? I've got this story about divers. Like, hey, do you want to work on it? And I said, okay, yeah, sure. Diving is interesting. We've never done a film on diving before, so let's do it. A lot of things changed after we had a very enlightening conversation with Khamarul, who inspired the whole story in the first place. After talking to him, we had a much better idea of not only procedures and workflows, but also the dangers that come with such a profession.
My name is Khamarul Arifin, Zainal. So I work professionally in a corporate life, but I'm also a scuba diving instructor. And on the sides, I also do volunteer jobs for rescue work. Yeah. For the film, I think we had used the same techniques as if in real life. So we have the lifeline, we have the tender, the guy who's holding on to the rope on land. We have a diver using this sort of apparatus, and the signaling using hands and etc. More or less on the technical part, it's similar to what we use as if in real life operations. Yeah.
Right from the start, with the discussions with the director, we decided that this is going to be a very still film. A person who is in this field has to have that composure. The person who is going out there and diving cannot be a person who is agitated. The person is always calm. And maybe this is something that we picked up from Khamarul himself, because he was always just very calm. So immediately we crossed out shooting handheld. We also decided that the film would have a distance away from the protagonist or everyone else in the film.
When I read the script, about a salvage diver or public safety diver, he is actually looking for a victim, a body underwater. So from the script, I began to visualize like how should we do this. And after a few discussions during the recce trip, I find it, because it's a flat area, there's nothing much to shoot. So following the bottom slope, it gives you a nice effect there, a nice feel, like this is what it is like for the public safety diver to locate the body. You just follow along the bottom topography and start to descend slowly and slowly, and I find it's quite cool. Okay, I think this is a good shot, and let's do this again. Repeat that again, take a few shots. Yeah. When we dive, our buoyancy is affected from how we breathe underwater. When you inhale too much and too long, right? Deep inhalation, you tend to become a bit more positive. And then when you exhale too much, you start to drop. You become negative, right? And too fast. Sometimes when you begin to press record there, you just need to break a bit of the scuba diving rules. Like, because the golden rule of scuba diving is to never hold your breath. Okay, but sometimes you just do a longer version of pause on holding your breath.
My name is Faisal, Tuan Faisal. I'm from Subang Jaya. Been acting for mainly theatre lah since 10 years ago. The look, I love the look. I think you were going for a very dark noir kind of look, and that really helped building that world, because you kind of like think that, oh, this world, macam it always rain, is very dark.
It so happened that I was going for a film festival in Poland around the same time as this film was conceived, to the Golden Anteater. So I had an opportunity to visit Lublin, which is the 8th biggest city in Poland, very far out into the countryside. It gave me a sense of how that part of Europe looked. So I used that as an inspiration to then draw a picture of how I wish this fictional world to look. It doesn't look like Poland. Poland is very brown, very grey, but this fictional world is always raining, and it's always dark blue, and it's always overcast.
When we went out there and we shot with RAW, it opened up a lot of flexibility for us. There was situations where sunlight would change, the intensity of sunlight would change, brightness would change, and that affected the contrast in the film. The contrast is different when the sun is out and when the sun is blocked by clouds. But only because we were shooting in RAW, we managed to match the footage quite nicely together.
The color, it accentuates the feel throughout, the tension going through the film.
Hi, We Jun here, and what you're seeing now is actually we're just running through roughly the process that we've utilized to create that look in Salvaj. This is not intended to be some sort of like a technical walkthrough. There are plenty of videos on the internet for that. We shot the film in camera raw on the Blackmagic 2.5K camera. What you see now is actually the raw image, or at least the preview of the raw image, because the raw image can be adjusted or modified to your liking, actually, as long as as you've shot it in a way that retains enough information for the highlights and the shadows. What you can do is you can then tweak everything from the levels of the highlights and the shadows to the white balance even. So if you shot it differently or mistakenly selected the wrong white balance for a different shot, what you can do is actually you can tweak it in post. You can just key in whatever white balance value you'd like. I'm not sure if there's any difference in doing it practically or through this method. I'm sure that it's better to get it right on the day, but having said that, this can be a lifesaver especially when matching shots shot at different times of the day. So that's very useful. You can actually play around with tint or the white balance to achieve a consistent color from shot to shot. We shot raw because we really wanted that level of control. It's a lot of work. It's huge file sizes, and I'll just go through some of these files. Now, for those who've not shot RAW before, what RAW does is actually it takes a whole bunch of photographs, and so if you look at your RAW files, which we will preview here, so if I go into one of these are how RAW videos look like when they're imported into your computer. They come up as an individual folder and they're labeled according to the date when we shot, and scene numbers or what have you, metadata that you key in. And as you can see, this is a sequence of DNG files. So it's like, I don't know, thousands and thousands of photographs. And so, okay, so what we do then, you can either pull out a program like DaVinci Resolve, which we've used in for Salvaj, or you can actually, open it in Photoshop and sort of adjust it like you would a picture. It also comes with it's with an audio track right at the end. There you go. That's a WAV file at the end. So what you really want to do is to record the sound separately and then sync it up. So that WAV file is just there for reference. What you see in a raw image is actually a little deceptive because it's sort of like a median of the values that you've captured, the information you captured. what it presents to you may either be very overexposed or underexposed, and very flat and desaturated, or very shifted to one color hue. Green in particular is really something I think the sensor really picks up in most cameras, most digital cameras. And so what you can do with a raw file is you shouldn't take it as at face value. You should consider your creative options. We've had a lot of conversations about that, and we really wanted it to look really dark and mysterious. Blues, lots of blues, and reds. Where reds exist, they pop. The raw image allows us a lot of flexibility, a lot of control over that, and we are able then to manipulate the image to best suit our need. It's not for everybody. It's a lot of work, and you really have to put in the work and effort to really get a cinematic result.
Body back!
Ishak! Okay, Ishak!
The outdoor shoot itself was incredibly hectic. We had this long list of shots that we wanted to do, and while shooting we realized that we didn't have enough time to do it, to go through them all. And partly it was because of the rain machine. We had never used a rain machine in a shoot before. So we immediately assumed that rain machine should be just flick, just press on and then rain would fall from the sky. But it was much harder than that. There were some parts where we literally I just had to pick up the camera with the tripod and jump into the water, not knowing if there's a place that I can step on. So I just gently went in and put the tripod in the water and just said, okay, let's just get the shot, let's just do it.
Khamarul, being the talent, underwater talent, which is a public safety diver, with his experience as well. So we planned ahead carefully, and we did a dry run on how we're gonna be and where he should be. Did some basic sketch lah, okay, right? And how am I gonna shoot him and stuff like that. And then besides that, the director also did give his opinion on which kind of angle he wants and shot. So I wrote it down everything on a writing slate just to remind myself underwater. And then that's one way of communicating with the other divers and the other underwater crew. Besides hand signals, just a writing slate. And we did improvise a few hand signals as well, just in particularly for that shoot. Joining us during the shoot was there were two more divers. It was Rosalie and Michelle. So they were the safety divers. Definitely we need safety divers just in case, because videographer and talent, they are busy, so concentrated on what they're doing. So it's good to have safety diver just to monitor our actions during underwater.
Roger, police diver 714, over.